Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. You'll hear in a second Kash Patel just going off on a Democratic congressperson, and I think the indictment is pretty clear. I think that the DOJ will indict, I think, Kash Patel and the Federal Bureau of Investigation and other intel agencies. They already have the evidence that foul play was a part of not only impeachment, the prosecution. The two impeachments and endless prosecutions of Trump led to what? The popular vote. Say it again. Morally superior, highly educated, liberal Democrat. Trump won the popular vote. Every battleground state. The presidency. Kept the House, the Senate. And he has complete control of the Supreme Court. And now you have Kash Patel reminded that if people don't get indicted, Democrats are going to do the same thing all over again. Check this out. Hit subscribe. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. This is a wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrat going after Kash Patel.
When can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door?
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me. You want to know how and why?
Well,
you want to know what I'm doing to fix it?
That. Let me move on.
Well, you should read the book because there's no enemies list on that book.
So
there are people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people, and they were rightly called out. And you should give that book to every one of your constituents so they can read about it.
I won't be doing that.
That's their loss.
During your Senate confirmation hearings, you repeatedly denied having any involvement as a private citizen in the firing of FBI officials who engaged in the prosecution against January 6th insurrectionists, the violent rioters who beat and killed Capitol police officers.
And that is not true. That is the officer. It was a terrible thing. Passed away a day after. And that was not linked directly to the violence. Furthermore, there were thousands of law enforcement officials that did the same thing, or that experienced the same exact thing all throughout the country. In blue states, in Minneapolis, all through Portland, in Seattle, and all throughout the country, California, New York, everywhere. Law enforcement officials, thousands, let's say hundreds. Let's be fair. I think there's the tally is hundreds and hundreds, especially in D.C., were injured, protecting themselves from left-leaning demonstrators who were not peaceful. And I agree with why people peacefully demonstrated. I do. But there was $1 to $2 billion in property damage all throughout the country. And Kinzinger and Cheney and Democrats and this wonderful, morally superior, highly educated, liberal Democratic congressperson apparently said nothing. Churches were vandalized after the Dobbs decision. Tesla dealerships, they're trying to eliminate and go after and commit arson and worse. There has been a long sequence of violent, chaotic mayhem targeting conservatives, everybody who drives a Tesla, or businesses, just businesses that were owned by people of color all throughout that summer in Trump's last year in office. Not one Democrat opposed that. And I'm wondering why they continue to say that Trump is an insurrectionist when the Supreme Court overturned the Colorado ban. And that demonstrators went after President Trump on May 30th in the White House. And not a word was stated, not one word of condemnation from Democrats. So you have Tesla dealerships nowadays, Teslas being keyed and vandalized. You had churches and places of worship vandalized after the Dobbs decision, and Democrats said nothing. You had $1 to $2 billion of property damage all throughout Trump's last year in office. Arson, where CNN and the journalist said it's fiery but mostly peaceful, and the building was ablaze behind the journalist. That's why Trump won the popular vote. But let's continue.
And whom you referred to as political prisoners. Since then, multiple whistleblowers have come forward, and we know that you likely committed perjury. At the same hearing, you claimed you were not familiar with Stu Peters, an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, despite the fact that you appeared on Mr.
this wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrat should ask specific pundits on the left how they deny the historical record. Okay? 6 million human beings. Their lives are trying to be algorithmically friendly. Okay? The deniers are on the left. They equate a tragic foreign policy debacle that's taking place. They equate the 1930s and 1940s Germans with anyone they don't like, specifically with the only Jewish state in the world. So I don't want to get into it, but there are pictures of that German authoritarian tyrant, despot, evil monster. And there was a cartoon where he's patting President Trump on the back, and it's about supporting the only Jewish state in the world. And so who is denying historical record? The left, Democrats. They did the same thing with the civil rights movement. They pick the most terrible atrocities of the different constituents that vote Democrat, and they say, if you don't vote for us, you're voting for that. You're voting for the people who perpetrated those atrocities. And that's, again, why they lost the popular vote. Historical record has been butchered. Historical record has been twisted and warped to suit the Democratic Party, and now anyone who has some kind of did something bizarre or there's something going on, well, you know what, you sided with that person and you're just like the 1930s and 1940s Germans.
Mr. Peters' podcast 8 separate times. 8 times. And you claimed not to recall. Mr. Patel, my second question is, should we worry more about your memory or your veracity?
We should worry more about your lack of candor. You're accusing me of committing perjury. Tell the American people how I broke the law and committed a felony. Have the audacity to actually put the facts forward instead of lying for political banter so you can have a 20-second donation hit.
The answer is both. I believe that
the answer is you're failing, not me.
I play my time.
Go ahead.
Mr. Patel, I believe that the members of the FBI, and I know many of them, many retired, 38,000 people, as you say, it's a little less than that now, deserve the very best, deserve extraordinary independence.
Yes, independence, like the Steele dossier, literally purchased by Clinton and the DNC, filtered through the Federal Bureau of Investigation when the Honorable James Comey was there. And the Honorable James Comey literally testified that classified data was being forwarded from Uma Abedin and Clinton's team to Anthony Weiner, which is why he wrote the Clinton memo. Okay, and why nobody knows why there was no charges for Clinton when she had top secret and special access program intelligence transferred, almost certainly has to be illegally, onto servers. Then you have the raid of Mar-a-Lago. Then you have text messages from Federal Bureau of Investigation employees going after Trump and, targeting their direct political rivals, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation working with then Twitter's trust and safety team. But this was a wonderful, highly educated, morally, to silence anyone that disagrees with Democrats, conservatives, Trump supporters. No, there's never been a greater example. Well, this is one of the great examples in American history where politics has been leveled against the political opposition, utilizing bureaucracy, the FBI, intel agencies, and others.
Deserve freedom from the fears of being investigated, the freedom of coming forward to make sure they're doing their job. And I'll end with this, that I think it's interesting that in your proposal today, you find yourself at a gulf of difference between you and the president. I wonder how you will resolve that. Will you go to the president and say we need $11.2 billion, not what you cut out of here? You're asking for more than $1 billion than the president's request. Are you going to go to the president and straighten out that gulf?
I'll do what I've always done and represent the American people, defend this country, and make sure the Constitution is always upheld and the FBI is never weaponized. Maybe you should do the same.
So you agree with the president when he says he doesn't know if he should uphold his constitutional duty?
If you want to just keep putting words
The president never said that.
in my mouth, the TV cameras are outside.
I thank you. I yield back. Again, this is an unserious moment, sadly, for the FBI.
And Pennsylvania went red. President Trump won Pennsylvania. Fetterman, the senator in Pennsylvania, has become a lot more conservative because he knows that the state is becoming more conservative. Nobody is buying what Democrats have been selling. Nobody. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. They're going to indict a number of people. The question that the Democratic congressperson stated was very prescient. Do I have to worry? Do you have to worry if you were in impeachment? Probably, yeah. Trump and Kash Patel and the Department of Justice and Pam Bondi literally stated that crimes were committed when they went after Trump. And crimes were almost certainly committed. When Democrats say that Trump is going to weaponize the, yeah, it's going to, when, it's not weaponization, so no, that's not what's going to happen. But the people who committed crimes trying to imprison Trump, they will get indicted. If you committed a crime trying to imprison your direct political rival, almost certainly the person will get indicted. Hit subscribe right now.